The middle class is in for many money traps. Some are really costly while others are just bad habits. You might not pay anything for some of these traps while you might pay a lot for others. But either way, they'll undoubtedly leave you in poverty for the rest of your life. So, what are some of the behaviors that inhibit the middle class from generating the riches they desire? Well, these will shock you. Number 1. Not tracking food spending. Budgeting involves carefully monitoring your expenditure to identify where you may cut back and how much of your consumption is actually necessary. For instance, some estimates place the annual food waste of the typical family of 4 between $1,350 and $2,275. Consumption reduction could lead to substantial cost savings by eliminating that waste. You may also track how much your family spends on dining out. Reducing the time you spend eating out, even for lunch, is a wonderful way to save money on food. Ask yourself, every day, do you and your family pack a lunch? You can minimize overspending on food and money waste by adjusting your consumption. Also, remember that families with high incomes should also budget. Spending on indulgences is one thing. When it comes as a surprise, it is quite another. A budget actively forces you to decide how to spend your extra money, which is one of its significant benefits. Like physical activity, budgeting is a discipline that, with enough repetition, becomes ingrained within you. Number 2. Unnecessary financial strain. When you spend too much of your salary on maintaining a lifestyle, such as dining out frequently or buying a house you can't afford, there needs to be more money left over to save for the future. Instead of taking on as much debt as you can while still managing the payments, your objective should be to have as little debt as possible. Of course though, there are occasions where you can't wholly limit your spending. Challenges or unanticipated occurrences can prevent families from setting up an emergency fund or retirement savings. But what should you do if your family is already under financial strain? It's crucial to make an effort to take on only some things at a time. Some people attempt to grow their income, pay off debt, and save money for emergencies all at once. These options are effective, but if, for instance, you have trouble managing your expenditures, raising your salary won't help. At this point, some financial planners must don their psychological hats and assist in identifying the underlying causes of the client's financial problems. Be sure to speak with a financial counselor before making a choice that can ultimately cause your finances to become more stressful. Number 3. Buying a house you can't afford. One of the biggest mistakes people make is purchasing an unaffordable home. They frequently act this way because they genuinely believe that it will be beneficial in the long run. However, if you cannot pay your mortgage, you'll also find it difficult to cover other costs. So it is a good idea to buy a property, but you should only do it if you can actually afford it. You might not be able to afford other necessities such as retirement or retirement funds if you purchase a home that's too pricey. Your family may also suffer if you buy a home that's too expensive. As is the norm, most individuals aspire to possess their own homes. But in many major cities, the average person cannot afford a home due to the intense competition in the housing market. Purchasing an overpriced or too expensive home will result in debt and may even damage your credit. Before buying a home, it's critical to understand how much monthly income you actually have. Make sure you have enough money to cover your monthly costs, mortgage, taxes, and other outgoings. Number 4. Ignoring credit card debt. Ignoring your credit card debt is a terrible decision. There are a few methods you might employ to pay off your debt. Paying the minimum amount due each month is one option, but doing so will take a long time and won't get you out of debt. The superb strategy for getting out of credit card debt is to pay off the most significant balance first, then move down the list by the interest rates. Neglecting your credit card debt may prove to be an expensive mistake. Credit card interest rates are frequently very high, and if you keep putting off paying your debt, the interest will only rise. Number 5. Not taking risks. You'll never know victory or defeat if you don't take a risk. Without risk, you'll always remain where you are. Risk is a necessary component of growth. How can you expect to advance in life if you don't take any chances? Every time you wish to take a step forward, you must weigh the risk and reward to come to a sound conclusion. This might apply to launching a business with no guarantee of success, switching careers, or finding a new job. But if it succeeds, the benefits could be profound. This kind of major switch making is undoubtedly dangerous. What if you don't like it? Then what happens? What if the amount of money is different from what you expected? Your capital is in danger whenever you invest, whether whether you're buying a house or keeping cash in the face of inflation. By being ready for the worst case scenario, such as having enough money set aside or a plan B, you can minimize potential drawbacks when taking these risks. Before taking calculated risks, you must also ensure that you have the necessities taken care of, including food, shelter, medical care, and security. Number 6. Bad investment ideas. What kind of investment do you think is a bad one? Well, a terrible investment unquestionably does not fit into your investor profile, particularly your risk tolerance. Your short-term investing goals may be harmed by the stress and volatility resulting from the potential fluctuations of an investment that's too risky. These two principles, are high opportunity cost and a quicker loss of buying power owing to inflation, perfectly sum up the effects of excessively conservative investment. For instance, it would be foolish to settle for a meager 2% return without considering the investment horizon. Moreover, the lifespan of the capital is in danger if the return on investment doesn't offset the rise in your cost of living. And the last thing any investor wants is to outlive their wealth. But what could be worse than a poor investment alone? Well, the answer is simple. Not diversifying. As the saying goes, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. However, note that spreading out your assets among many financial institutions is not the same as diversifying them. Instead, it refers to placing your money in various investment products. Investors should search the Canadian and worldwide markets for multiple products, including equities and guaranteed investment certificates. Number 7. Overspending. Spending too much is simple, but by creating and adhering to a budget, you can prevent this. Keep track of your spending patterns to keep tabs on your actual expenditure levels. Discover money-saving strategies that work for you, such as meal planning or cutting the cable. When you have the money, it's so simple to splurge because you believe getting that item you don't need is okay because you make more than enough money. But spending too much money results in credit card debt and other money issues. Given that your spending increases along with your earnings, it can be challenging to escape this trap. A typical money pitfall that many individuals fall into is overspending. Numerous factors like the expensive cost of fine clothes and emotional spending can lead to overspending. Budgeting is crucial if you want to save money since it allows you to pay for items as they come up instead of relying on credit cards or other forms of debt. Number 8. Not accounting for healthcare costs. For many families, one of the immense financial pressures is the cost of healthcare. A Pew Charitable Trust study also found that while healthcare expenses have increased, incomes have remained largely unchanged. Your budget is now put under even more strain as a result. It's incredible how popular culture has altered how we think about healthcare costs. Instead of saying we have healthcare costs, we typically say that we have medical emergencies. But not all of them are actually emergencies. There will be some essential expenses instead of skipping annual exams, immunizations, blood tests and the like, and subsequently experiencing a true medical emergency brought on by the absence of preventative care. When a person leaves work, they often have access to COBRA from their employer for up to 18 months, raising another healthcare concern. But for most businesses, COBRA costs more than what an employer withholds from employees' paychecks, so saving enough money for that expense and the out-of-pocket maximum for a year is almost essential. Number 9. Poor financial habits. Poor spending habits are one of the leading causes of financial devastation for the middle class. Most people with credit card limits over $20,000 continue to live paycheck to paycheck and don't alter their spending patterns. As a result, saving money and accumulating assets becomes even more challenging. One method to avoid falling into this trap is making a budget and planning before making any purchases or investments. Poor financial practices like spending too much on credit card interest or holding a balance on a credit card are the biggest financial snare for the middle class. Since credit card interest rates have increased to an average of about 16%, borrowing $1,000 will result in a debt of $1,610 after 1 year. Using a cashback credit card to receive 1% cashback on all purchases is one strategy to use to avoid falling into this money trap. Number 10. Spending because you deserve it. How can you spend money freely on items you value highly while ruthlessly cutting costs elsewhere? Well, this is the reality. People frequently make the mistake of purchasing goods or paying for experiences on the basis that they deserve them. They put in a lot of effort, so they deserve a reward, right? Ask yourself, if it puts you into a position where your finances are uncomfortable, is it really a reward? You could be tempted to buy a new car once you start receiving a wage that isn't too small, but even though you may feel you deserve that brand new car, carefully examine how much it will cost you. The magnitude of the cost associated with purchasing an automobile can truly leave one in financial ruin. Spending isn't always done because you deserve it. What about the long-term effects? Be careful. Well, anyway, it's now simpler to make changes for the sake of your future riches now that you know the traps that can bankrupt you. And by the way, which of these traps weren't you aware of, and which of them have you been a victim of? Be sure to comment below. Let's engage. That's all for today. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.